We're good.
Hey, yet another episode, the last episode for season 2022 of the DNA Show. I'm your host, Anthony, with the main man, makes up the D in DNA, Donnie. One last time, sadly, we're going to do it all again, all right? Officially, the Carolina Panthers 2022 season has come to an end, unless some other teams get to play on for a chance at that Vince Lombardi trophy at the Super Bowl. So, what we're going to do, talk a little bit about it again. Season in review for 2022 Carolina Panthers. We'll talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, what to look forward to next year. We'll look at all the team stats, where everybody ended up finishing in the league and amongst each other within the team, and talk about it. And we also give you a timeline, remind you what happened this year. We had quarterback controversy, we had head coach controversy, and even though we still got him, we even got a owner controversy. So, but hey, that's what we're here to talk about one last time. So before we kind of get into it, the team stats, man, I'm pretty sure because we had high hopes. This team had a high ceiling. You and I both had high hopes for this team and didn't quite reach our expectations. A little bit of a disappointment. I hate to use the word disappointment because it didn't end as a disappointment so much. It did because we didn't make the playoffs, but I thought Steve Wilkes turned the team around pretty well. Doesn't get enough credit, and the players love him, and we want to have him back. But that is to come. So we'll see. But overall feeling, and an overall grade. First, give me your overall grade for the season, and then your overall feeling, and then your thoughts for the future.
Give it a C, maybe C minus. I mean, what can you do when your coach gets fired early on in the season? You have an interim coach that's in control of trying to right the wrongs of the previous coach. With such a young team, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't happen very much. A team that young, like our team, is able to kind of keep their composure, be mature, and just kind of roll with the punches and finish out strong, man. Like I think like we said last time we were live, literally embodying the keep pounding mantra. I'm proud. I'm proud of the resiliency. Uh, Such high hopes, man. Coming to the season, if I'm not mistaken, I have to go back and check what I said. I mean, I think I had DJ Moore and Baker Mayfield having a Pro Bowl season together. Ended up flopping. I thought we'd lead the league in takeaways. Did not happen. And I forgot what else I said, but I had some high hopes, man. Baker shit the bed for worse this year, to say the least. It was really disappointing, man. I really thought he'd come in and fill in. You know what I'm saying? Kind of go into a smaller market situation where the media's not as heavy on him. But yeah, we were led astray. And most importantly, man, I'm disappointed in our ownership for putting us in this situation. I just don't think it's fair that the fans have to endure a fifth consecutive season without, playing any meaningful football. So I give us a C minus. Now, honestly, I mean, if Steve Wilkes didn't do the job he did, which was a hell of a job, we'd be looking at a D minus, maybe F. I mean, because there's not many times where you have such a young defense that's this good and have offense line that's that stout with the kind of weapons that we had. It still failed, but Steve Wilkes didn't have a quarterback of his choice. Team didn't have much of a choice, really, what happened with this season. So a C minus for me.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say same thing. C minus, and thank God for Steve Wilkes because it'd have been worse. And yeah, it's such potential, man. It's very sad, I will say. So, but but let's go ahead and look at what actually happened on the gridiron and the stats that we got. Let's go ahead and take a look here. So, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold was our two main quarterbacks for the year. As Donnie said, halfway through the season, we'll let him go due to pretty much performance. Sam Darnold being injured as well, so we had to wait on him a little bit. And then in between of that, we had PJ Walker, but he was our top two leaders. So Baker Mayfield, 206 attempts, 119 completed. I gave him a 57.8% completion rate. Threw for 13, and I gave him about 187 yards a game. 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions to match it. Not good when you're matching like that. Touchdown to interception ratio. 1-1. Not good. Um, Sam Darnold, on the other hand, he didn't pass many games because of injury as well, but he came in towards the end, played okay ball. Definitely less turnovers than Wade has done in the past, but he showed flashes, but then he also showed bad flashes, more than flashes, a lot of things. So in the end of the season, very bad, 5 for 15, very bad. But his season percentage, 140 attempts, 82 of those complete, gave him just slightly average higher completion rate than Baker. That's 58.6 completion rate. Ended up throwing for just a little bit less. Remember, we played less games, so 1,143 yards. But that does give him a higher average, 190 and a half yards a game on average. 7 touchdowns, one more than Baker, and 3 interceptions, 3 less than Baker. So that's more ideal what you want to see out of him, but only 7 touchdowns for the year and played just as many games. I think he only played one less game than Baker. So at the end of the day, so still not that great at quarterback. Desperately need a change. We'll see what happens in the draft. But for our running back's pretty good. But remember, he had Christian McCaffrey, but he ended up not having as many as the other guys. He did get traded by midway, or maybe a little before midway the season.
Yeah,
Okay.
midway
Um,
through.
there you go. So 203 attempts from Dante. The performance did go up. So, but 203 attempts by Dante Foreman that had gave him 914 yards, just shy of 1,000. Pretty good. Average of 4.5 yards a carry. That's very good for a running back. 5 touchdowns total. Uh, Not even 100 attempts for Chuba, 95, and still got 466 and an average of 4.9. So he's almost 5 yards a carry for Chuba for the year. So that's very good backup role for him to out average his starter, and he finished the year with 2 touchdowns rushing. Um, to come in and have a higher average. Now he's running the ball less, so it'd be a little bit higher, but to match your starter and not be too far behind, that's pretty good. I have to say. We can see what these guys. I would be interested to see what these guys do for a full season together. And a great O line and a great offense coordinator. I think big things could happen. So, and the guys on the outside are receivers and tight ends. Now, our two top receivers are DJ Moore and Terrence Marshall Jr. DJ Moore carried a lot of the load as he usually does. 63 receptions, 888 yards, just shy of 1,000. Uh, is this his first season not having 1,000, Donnie, or has he had a season where he didn't get 1,000?
Yeah, one time was his rookie season. He was right there at the 1,000 mark, kind of like this year. So he barely missed it his rookie year, and that's honestly because he didn't play the first like 3 games, maybe. I
Okay,
mean,
yeah,
which spoke a lot because he played like when he played. I mean, he played. So I mean, that just kind of shows our offensive attack this year with him not getting to 1,000.
right. So, and what was the big stat? Well, the only receiver to have a 3 straight 1,000. What was that big stat he had for a while there? You
I
know.
think he's the player in franchise history to get 5,000 receiving yards. If I'm not bad mistaken. He's
Then
already got it.
there was one where he was the only receiver to have 3 straight 1,000 yards receiving at the time, post 2010 or something like that.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'd have to look, but I do know he did eclipse 5,000 yards, and he's not even. I mean, he's barely 25. So
Yeah.
that's actually really good. Like considering his quarterback circumstances in Carolina. So excuse me. I think that speaks superstar caliber.
Yeah, for sure. So, uh, I am curious. I never want to see it, but I'm curious what he would do at a really good quarterback situation. Once that gets taken
Yeah.
care of here in Carolina, I think he's going to be at the top level, top five, top three type receivers. I know people's face just melted me saying that, but look what he's done with the
I,
catastrophe
yeah.
at quarterback. So he's a very good receiver, very underrated. I think he's the most underrated receiver in the league, maybe even player. So, but
Mm-hmm.
he finished the season 14.1 average per catch, 52 yards a game, and 7 touchdowns on a year. Marshall being number two, 490 on the year with 28 receptions and 17 and a half average. A big average there. Yards a game, 35. But he only got in the end zone once. But he didn't. Matt Rule, you can thank Matt Rule for those kind of stats because he didn't play at all under Matt Rule. And then when he started
No.
playing under Wilkes, man, he blew up. At one time, he had like 10, 12, 15 receptions, something like that. And every last one of them were for a first down. Only player in the league to do it. So he is very important to the future of this franchise. Hold on to him. He's going to be very good. And him and DJ, and I'd like to see a really good slot guy, which would, if we keep Chinook, I think he'll be a big weapon as well. And he is a weapon. So the receiving core for Carolina looked has never looked better, in my opinion. A lot of people say, well, Stephen Moose, and I was like, well, Stephen Moose, that was all. But to help them out as well, we need a tight end to help those guys out, just like Greg Olsen helped out. You saw how good the passing game was when we had guys like Ted Ginn Jr. and Philly Brown, and not very good receivers, but because the tight end was so good, Greg Olsen, it made them better. So, and just imagine what a good tight end could do for these receivers. So take a look at the tight end here, Ian Thomas. He had 20, very identical, these two, Ian and Tommy. So Ian Thomas, 21 receptions, 197 yards, 9.4 average. It's only 11 yards a game. And he had no touchdowns this year. Never scored. Tommy Tremble, very, very similar to Ian. 19 receptions for 174. So Ian only had about 23 yards more than Tommy. But Tommy saw the end zone 3 times this year. Still needs to increase that as well. But that's that's uh that's what we paid Ian for, to do that type of stuff. Good job. So, and let's look at the other side of the ball, the defense. So pretty good, pretty good number here. Our tackles leader, Shaq Thompson, he ended up with 135 tackles total there. Y'all can see Donnie's face. So Shaq ended up leading the team with 135 tackles total. JC Horn ended up leading the team with 3 interceptions. And Brian Burns, double figures in sacks, 12 and a half. Good for him. That's why he is a Pro Bowler. And hopefully we see that time and time and again. So now, lastly, our team stats. So at the end of the year, after the Saints game, this is what we all ended in. So for our passing, a little bit over 3,200 yards total. That's between Baker, PJ, and Sam. We ended up 28th in the league. Rushing, we ended up 10th. So we're top 10 rushing. And remember, we lost Christian halfway through. So just imagine a full season with the rushing attack that we had. It's going to be pretty good. So the rushing game is coming along. So being 28th in the passing means you're going to be 28th in receiving. It's going to be the same. So, and scoring total. We had 21 total touchdowns, 16 pass, 16 rush, which is good. They're kind of an equal thing there. 16 passes, 16 rushing touchdowns. Um, um, but we ended up with 21st in scoring total. So total points also were 19th in the league with 22 points a game. Excuse me. This is for the defense. Defensively, total points ended up getting 22 points a game. Passing yards, we ended up 23rd. And for rushing yards, 18th. And for total yards, so total defense, based off of total yards and points scored, I'd say we're around 19th, 20th best defense in the league, which is our strong point. But you also got to remember the field position, everything throughout the year. Baker Mayfield can never even get past the 50 sometimes, and Sam, and so when you have a short field, you get scored on easily. Defense is steadily on the field, so that's what happens there. So now back to us. Now after hearing all of that, Donnie, after seeing what you saw, hearing all the rankings and the stats between Sam and DJ Moore and the offense and the defense, your thoughts on this past season here?
I'm gonna try not to go in too much of a bigger spill, but you know, coming like I said, coming to the season, there was high hopes from the both of us. You know, we thought we had a good quarterback situation, even though training camp kind of seemed like it was off. You know, you out and bust your ass to get the Baker Mayfield trade, and when you get Baker Mayfield, all of a sudden, you know, we don't know if he's starting. We don't know if Sam's gonna be starting. We don't even know what Matt Corral's gonna do. And we had like a little high school jamboree type bullshit going on in training camp, which kind of offset it how the season was gonna look. Preseason, Baker looked really good. I mean, it just seemed like week one that I mean the disaster. It was just a disaster. So starting week one, man, we really had no consistent quarterback play at all, and we kind of abandoned the run. And again, we overused Christian and didn't utilize our other weapons. And then we ended up getting off to a 1-4 start. Um, Lost Matt Rule, justifiably so. Um, and that kind of when a coach gets fired that early, most teams completely sink and they go into the whole tank thinking method. And thankfully for us, we didn't really take that approach, which I'm very proud of. Because again, we have a very young football team on both sides of the ball, and usually when things like this happen, man, guys tap out mentally. They're already starting to plan their vacations. They're already kind of going half-assed during the games on Sundays. But big credit to Steve Wilkes. Shortly after we got Steve Wilkes, his first game was against the Rams. We saw a lot of Christian McCaffrey. Didn't I only think with honestly, I think we only threw the ball maybe 5 times that game. That's when PJ played. Um, and then after that, man, we saw the kind of the whole ordeal blow up. I mean, we saw Christian get traded, which is devastating as Panther fans, man. That still is a tough day to think about because I mean he could have meant so much to the future quarterback and head coach that we'd have bringing him along, but it's obviously worked out for the both sides of the equation. I think our run and attack improved drastically without. And again, I say this all the time. It's not a shot at Christian because Christian's so damn good. You want to involve him in every play. You want to make sure he gets the ball in his hands. But again, not Christian's fault. But after he left, I mean, there was such an improvement in offense because now you're forced to spread the ball around. Now you're forced to go run back by committee, and it worked out so eloquently for us. It seemed like after that, man, we just made a really good adjustment. We still had our highs and lows. We got our ass kicked in Cincinnati. We had a tough loss against Pittsburgh. But for Steve Wilkes to inherit a 1-4 record and to us to finish out, 7-10 without a quarterback, really, without a set quarterback situation, he did that while shuffling around, PJ, Baker, and Sam Darnold, who are all going to be backup quarterbacks for probably the rest of their career. It's pretty damn impressive. And I mean, we have, for the most part, man, our defense is full of some young dogs. You got Frankie Louvu, who I think should have been a All Pro this year, considering his tackle numbers and his sack numbers. J.C. Horn played good when he's healthy. Brian Burns finally got into the double digit sacks that we've all been talking about, and he looked like a polished pass rusher this year. Chin, when we got him back, he looked good. Derek Brown emerged. Defensive side of the ball is pretty much solidified. You only got to plug up and patch, a few holes. Um, then the offensive line, man. I mean, Steve, it seemed like when Steve Wilkes took over, man, offensive line's aggressiveness in the run game improved. We saw a leap in Icky's um, performance this year. I mean, everyone went crazy about the week one ordeal because he played Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett whoops a lot of All Pros ass on a daily or on a weekly basis. Might I add. Icky's play stepped up drastically, man. And he ended up being the true first round pick that we wanted him to be, and I'm proud that we finally have that left side. I'll go out on a limb and say solidified for the next 5 to 7 years at least. God willing, his health, and if he continue, if he most O linemen want to lead the game a little earlier just because they actually face the most contact. They're banging helmets every place. So hopefully we can get him for another 7 to 10 years. But and we look at the rushing attack, like I mentioned, physicality. Going back to smash mouth Carolina Panthers football, what the identity of this football team was built around, running back by committee, with both Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard. But and lastly, man, I'll say this. I mean, our receiver situation is nice. We got to get an offensive coordinator that can come here and utilize these weapons, man. I mean, there's so many damn weapons. It seems like we don't have any sort of identity to use. I mean, we see Laviska Shenault go on swings all the time, and that's fine. But I like to see him open in space with the ball, probably about 5 to 10 yards down the field. Just really what this season wasn't fair to our team, but I say all that to say all in a bunch because I can go on for a long time and I can dissect every single thing. But considering we lost our head coach that early on, and the fact that Steve Wilkes was able to, and I mean literally like re-energize his football team that looked so demoralized in the Arizona Cardinals game. I mean, that's the loudest I've ever heard the crowd booing. And me and you were at the Saints game. I mean, they were booing when that rule came out. But I will say the Arizona Cardinals game, even through the TV. I mean, I think it was what is his name? Marv Albert's son, I want to say. Kenny Albert. He said the boos rained down on Carolina, and I was just like, damn, that's tough. But it seemed like the mantra became back, or made a comeback in Carolina when Steve Wilkes put on the headset. Seemed like these players play with more physicality, more energy, intensity, meaningful, football, man. And I say all that to say, man, I mean, Steve Wilkes has got to be the guy. I don't see why not. Sure, could he make some more adjustments and things like that? Yeah, but he's a young head coach. That's why you need to get maybe an elderly defensive coordinator to help him kind of play the assistant head coach. Maybe we definitely need another offensive coordinator. But again, I've said it 10 to 15 times. All Panthers fans out there, this goes down to Dave. This comes up to David Tepper, what he wants to do. I mean, it's how he wants to build it. Don't blow this thing up, man, and you can't mess this up. I mean, both sides of the ball are pretty much loaded. You just got to plug in you got to patch a few tires, which to a good tiresman or a mechanic, that's easy work. So let's do that. Don't reach on the head coach. I mean, the answer's there. We're actually a very blessed football team because most teams are absolutely dog shit in this rebuilding phase. This job is so attractive. All you really need to do is plug in a quarterback, fix the corner situation, go get you another D tackle, and for the love of God, go get a fucking tight end. Because we didn't have no attack with those two tight ends. I mean, if that's the case. If we're going to pay people that kind of money to run block, fucking damn. I'll lose about 20 pounds and I'll go out there and I'll have some fucking reps. Fuck. Sorry, I try not to take that too long, but just giving the people what it was like, from the start of Matt Rule. No intensity, no meaningful football. It felt like losing close games per usual. No potency in the offense. And then that transformed when we got Steve Wilkes, man. The last, dozen weeks were fucking amazing.
Yeah, for sure. If Steve Wilkes can surround him, if we're lucky enough to have him back as head coach and surround himself with offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator that's grade A, he'll be okay. And then bring back what was good. because Bozeman, he's going to be out of here. Hopefully, they can bring him back, our center, a versatile center, and add to positions that hurt, like tight end, and the other side of defensive end to help out Brian Burns. Linebacker core needs to look better, play better. Um, Maybe even someone across from JC because Dante Jackson's on the hot seat. But we'll give him one more season. If he doesn't have like a near damn breakout season, it's time to cut ties. He's been here too long to not be playing at a high level. And he's like Ron Rivera said, he is too good of a player. That's the thing. He's a good player, but it's like he gets in his own head or something. I'm not sure. So if CJ Henderson wants to keep his body language bad like he always does, you tell him to get out of here too. He don't understand to keep pounding mantra and motto. So that it sounds like there's holes, but there's not. It's not holes. It's improving. We need an improvement. There's really no holes. I would say the only hole there is. Well, I can't even say there's a hole because again, Ian Thomas is good at run blocking. Tommy Tremble is there. Of course, he's not as good as a Kettle or the guys, the top tier different tight ends. But he can get it done. And if you go look at all the Super Bowl champions, really think about it. There's really ever no superstar. There'll be one or two superstars on a team, but it's not like there's a team of superstars. The Rams superstars were probably just Cup and Aaron Donald, but they were best in the league, I would say. Tampa Bay last year, your superstars. Was it Tampa who won it last year? Who won last year? Tampa or Rams?
Yeah, the Rams won last year.
Rams won last year. So, and I mean, I guess you could say Jalen Ramsey maybe, but we're as Donnie always says, we're not far away. Just keep improving, and let's get this team led by a great head coach and good people to call off offensive plays and defensive plays. And we just need a team. And as you saw in the second half of the year, we had a team led by Steve Wilkes, and we really truly became a team. And if you take away, because a loss is a loss and a win is a win, but a player or two or a driver or two difference going the opposite way, turning out better or good, we got a completely different season. Ravens game close, Pittsburgh game close, Tampa game close. The Falcons game that was won. Basically won that. So those right there, just off my head, are three games that make a complete different season. So all close stuff, man. And when a team like that is close, they end up being pretty good. But everybody's got to come back, do their job, and believe in each other, and believe in the head coach, play for the head coach, and play for the city, play for each other. So, and I think Steve Wilkes has a good idea. He's got his finger on the pulse of the team, and he knows who's going to play for him, and he knows who's worthy. And there's no bull crapping around trying to be friends with each other like Matt Rule was. There's none of that crap in Steve Wilkes. So that's why you want him back. This head coach did, this, that, and the other. Well, yeah, so did Ben McAdoo won a Super Bowl too. And I think that's what we were hanging on to. We were hanging on to him. Well, he did win a Super Bowl. Yeah, great. Great. But after that, then, not too much after that. So, but Steve Wilkes is almost like Cam. He reminds me of Cam. Put in a bad situation and it was all his fault. He did less. He did more with less and got no credit for it. Just like Cam and Steve Wilkes, very similar. That's why I look up to both of them, and they both kept pounding no matter what. And they are what this team is. And me and Donnie both agree we'd love to have him back. He belongs here. He's a Carolinian, and he can lead this team to big things. So, but here you go. Final thoughts, sir. As always, your final thoughts on the 2022 season. And let's look at it as Steve Wilkes' team. We'll forget about that first half of the season. At Steve Wilkes' team and what he did in that second half, your final thoughts and your thoughts for next season, and we'll wrap it up.
I think we could take 2022 as a I know it's cliche, but a year of growth, man. We learned a lot about this football team. We learned about who we have. The Bozeman's, the Louvu's, the Horns, the Chins, the Browns, the Burns, the Foremans, so on. The DJ Moore. I mean, you have to keep guys like that around if you're wanting to build this thing the right way. Every person I've stated is young, and they have a mentality that they're not going to bullshit around. They're going to give you their best effort for 4 quarters, but they're going to need some help, and that's going to come down a lot. And my focus and a lot of my criticism will not be on Wilkes. It will be on David Tepper. It is his job to help this new head coach to not throw someone in the deep end and expect, you know what I'm saying? It needs to be a collaboration. I'm calling out Scott Fitter too, as much as I love Scott Fitter. He's a great defensive, offensive minded, can build both sides of the ball as he did this offseason. We got to have some help because you cannot take the second half of this year and say, we need to blow this thing up. No, if you're anybody and if you're anyone with any football knowledge, you say, damn, this team is not that far away. We plug in a few pieces. You know, like you said, you mentioned getting Brian Burns help. We need to get JC Horn some help. Um, you get a quarterback. I mean, that some of these things can be addressed in one offseason if done correctly. But this football team here, man, is special. And the good thing is, the blessing is, we're not a middle of the road, middle age football team. We're a very young football team. I think we're the seventh or eighth youngest team in the league. Last time I looked, so you take that, you say, okay, now let's build. Let's take the building very seriously. And that's what we need to do this offseason. Do not, I repeat 1,000 times, do not reach on a fucking quarterback. Fuck it. Fuck another man's trash is another man's treasure. We learned that 3 times. We got burned 3 times. Fucking fool me 3 times. Fuck you. No more. Stop. Stop. Derek Carr, he's a great fucking guy. I heard him preach the other day on TikTok. Great guy. Believes in Jesus like I do. Love him. Very talented guy. No, I don't want him. Don't. I don't want fucking anybody else. Let's go get our guy. Let's groom him the way we need to fucking groom him. Let's get this fucking thing started. Fuck interviewing 20 motherfuckers. The obvious candidate is there, you dumb fucking bitch. It's
Right.
Steve Wilkes. And if it's not him, then okay, well, I'll take a Frank right if I got to. He's the first Panther to throw a touchdown in the Panthers uniform in franchise history. Okay, I'll take that. There's history there. There's ties there. I saw interviews for Sean Payton. Fucking damn. I mean, he's a great coach. It'd be nice to have him, but I'm not trading up my future unless he's got some master plan up his ass in the interview room that can counterfeit or counterpunch the fact that we're going to give up a premium pick. Or last thing, we go back again to a former Panther coach who has some dog in him and has been leading this Buffalo Bills offense. And Ken Dorsey, I mean, he was the man that helped with Cam Newton. Him and Cam Newton had a really good relationship, and it translated on the football field. The options are there. Stop bringing in 20 motherfuckers. Let's get it. Let's get it straight. And I'm sorry to cuss, and I know I'm doing it in a playful way, but here's where I get serious. It's been 5 long years, and we honestly could have made the playoffs this year if we would have built right 3 years ago. But we chose to take a risk on some fuck who's all about sports science and won't make you take your headphones off and wants to see what you're doing for dinner because he wants to be your fucking friend. I don't care. No more. Change it. Don't take out the keep pounding mantra on the fucking Titantron, the big ass board. Don't ever do that again, fucker. Don't you ever do that again. That's who we are. If that's not who we are, then why the hell is it embedded in the fucking back of our jerseys? I don't get it. Do not change the identity of this football team. You keep it how you found it. You can make your own changes to it, but do not. These fans have been patient. The fact that I'll say North and I'll say South Carolinian fans have been pretty adamant. I've never heard them be this angry. We've never been this angry, at least as long as I've been alive. We've never been this angry. Not even 2-14, because guess what? We knew we had the number one overall pick. A change has got to come. Don't fuck it up. Don't blow nothing up. The answers are evident. But anyway, 2023, I'm expecting big time football from us. I'm not going to give any bold predictions. I just want to see how this offseason goes. I'm going to be patient and try to keep a calm, cool head. But we can't do any dumb shit. The future is too bright, and we're not too far away. I'll say it for the 38th time because I mean it. So keep pounding, man. That's all I got to say, man. I'm going to fucking rep this shit. The old logo, old logo, fucking new logo, shirt, state. I'll rep it all. I don't give a fuck. I'm here. I'm here till I die. So, I mean, let's do it.
There you are. You heard it from Donnie from DNA Show himself. Don't screw it up is basically what he's saying. So a very important off season. And yeah, to your point, last point I'll make, find someone and groom someone ourselves when it comes to the quarterback position. Answers already in the team when it's head coach. Look, and as you were saying that, I was thinking, look at all the other top quarterbacks right now. Mahomes, drafted and bred by Chiefs. Burrow, Herbert, um, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, all drafted by the teams that they're on right now, and made by those coaches, and bred it to be what they wanted them to be. They didn't take from other teams. They went and drafted them and built them up. And where are they now? They're playing on Sundays. Dak Prescott. I mean, go through the whole list. Go through the whole list of teams that are in the playoffs right now. Daniel Jones and the Giants. Hurst. Yeah, all of them. Every single quarterback from every team that's in the playoffs right now, drafted by the team that they're on and bred to become winners. We have not done that since who? Cameron Jordan. 2011. It has been since 2011. Well, Matt Corral, we did draft Matt Corral, but he wasn't drafted to be our next franchise guy. It was he was like insurance. And he may be the next guy. I hope he is because I like the guy and stuff, and I like the way he plays. But he wasn't He was drafted as like an in case shit. He was like insurance, you know. He was like, well, if Sam Darnold don't work out, we got him, and then we can just blame him. And he's a rookie, so we can't really go wrong. So that was kind of a crazy move, but they needed somebody because they knew Darnold. They already knew they screwed up on Darnold. Anyway, that's it, and that's all for us, man. You heard it from Donnie. Don't screw it up, and I'll say the same thing. Don't screw it up. It's time for this franchise to do the right thing. So, on behalf of the DNA show, this wraps up our first year as a podcast, 2022, and we can't thank everyone enough for joining us, following us, liking us, watching us, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even TikTok. The DNA Show, Don Ant Show, username @ Don Ant Show, DONANT Show. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Can't thank you guys enough for joining us, man. We had a lot of fun. Every Sunday we were excited to get on here and talk to everyone. You'll see us go live on TikTok sometimes, and we talk to a bunch of fans, and we love it. We love it. So, and our friends and family have all joined in and helped support. And hey, can't thank you guys enough. So, this this is our last podcast for 2022. We're going to take a little bit of time off and enjoy the playoffs, and we're going to enjoy the Super Bowl together. Unfortunately, Carolina's not a part of it, but we like watching football at the end of the day. So we're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna work on the show some, make it better for you guys, make it better for us, and you'll see us every once in a while. Maybe jump on once the head coach thing is decided, and maybe big signings and stuff like that. But as of now, the Carolina Panthers and the DNA Show 2022 season has come to a close officially. Again, thank you everyone. And there's only 2 words in the English language I can think of saying. Donnie, tell them.
Keep pounding. Love you guys. Thanks for all the love and support.
Yes, sir. Keep pounding as always. So, and we will see you. We'll see you again. We will see you for the 2023 season of the Carolina Panthers. On behalf of the DNA show, Donnie, Anthony, Black and Blue runs through our DNA. We'll see you the 2023 season. As always, keep pounding.